Hey, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another fun episode of Lean Coaching for Lean Coaches. How the heck are you? I hope you're having a fantastic week. I'm feeling it this morning. Actually, that's not true. This morning when I was getting out of bed, I wasn't feeling it, but had to remind myself, like we do in Lean, just do the next thing, just show up today. And that's what we're going to do here today. And I just really love these times of being able to have conversations, support people in their journey and the good things that they're already doing. And if you're in that place, you're on that journey and you're excited about what's ahead, but you just feel kind of stuck and like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know where I'm going. I'm not feeling this right now. And you could use that help to get unstuck. You're looking to start your own lean business. You're looking to move forward in your lean journey as a leader. I help folks just like you be able to get unstuck, move forward, and to take meaningful action, get that clarity. So if that's you, shoot me a DM and let's get moving. But let's get moving right on to our guest today who's going to step in, and we're going to have lots of fun as well. I'm so excited. Please, of course, if you're jumping in today and joining us, would love to hear from you. Always good to have my friend Chasen and Ruth. Thank you so much for hopping in today. And if you've got questions, thoughts as we're going through the conversation today, please hop in and let us know. If you're like, Sam, you're crazy, or if you've got some thoughts on what our guest is sharing, please drop those in the comments. But without further ado, let's jump in. It was on my mind. Doug Rabow. I think I got it. Thank you for hopping in, coming in. You can see I haven't had my coffee yet. My oats, it's not happened yet, but it will here shortly. So thanks for coming in, Doug.
That's great to be here with you today, Sam.
Yeah. Well, for those who aren't connected, man, I got to meet Doug and I've had some conversations in the DMs, just kind of getting to know each other's stories and what's brought us to where we're at. But I really appreciate Doug, and I think you will too, because he just shows up as his authentic self. He pulls no punches, he takes no prisoners. Or is that the right analogy? I don't even know. But anyway, Doug, tell us a little bit about who you are for those that aren't connected and don't know you. Tell us a little about yourself, and you'll want to, of course, after you see this and hear this conversation today.
Absolutely. No, I've definitely been on a journey, and it's a journey that doesn't always make sense, but that's kind of the fun of it. So I've had a couple of different careers in my lifetime, which is part of what makes things interesting, both for better and for worse. I spent my 20s working in trades as a Red Seal truck crane operator, so running big telescopic truck mounted cranes. I did the normal pivot you would do from there, as I went and worked in the wine industry for 6 years. So up here in BC, yeah, pretty normal career progression there. Take the hard hat off, put the sommelier hat on. There's a sommelier hat on. Makes sense if you don't think too hard about it. And so I spent just 2 years working in retail and 4 years working in wineries doing premium seated and guided wine tastings at some of our fantastic wineries in the Okanagan Valley here in British Columbia, Canada. And during that time, I went back to school for the second time and actually pivoted again here. And for all intents and purposes, I can kind of sum up, I ended up moving into an IT project management type role. It's a little bit more than that. We'll probably talk a little bit more than that here today, but that's kind of been my journey. I've been in my new field for the last 2.5 years, but I'm looking for my next opportunity now, probably within IT. And I think we're pretty good just 2.5 years into that career change, but looking for a new opportunity there and just trying to find the best way to leverage my skill set.
Well, yeah, that's definitely not the career path that like typically is taken if you're looking to get into agile, lean, IT, project management. That's not one that you go through from a crane operator to customer service to sommelier. That's not one that you see the Hallmark movies the writing about is not on there. They end at kind of the sommelier and you end up at some fancy thing and you fall in love and you do all those things in the end credits, but you're not there. That's not your journey, your story.
No, absolutely, and that's part of the challenge as well, and that's why I'd say nobody needs to feel too bad for me. Most people are smart enough, we'll pick a lane, we'll make sure, whether it's going to manufacturing, that is an area that's interesting as well, or whether it's construction or what have you. You come out of university, you kind of get that first job, and that sets you a little bit on your career trajectory. So that's certainly part of the challenge that I'm facing right now. Have had some really awesome experiences working in the IT world of getting to facilitate teams. That is one of the great things about knowledge work, is you do get to interact directly with the people doing the work quite a bit. But yeah, for me, at the end of the day, lean is a lot of different things, but two of the things that I love about lean is truly it's about making things simple, and it's about getting work done.
Yeah.
uh, and that's a skill set we can apply to pretty much any environment.
Yep.
uh, and those are the sort of conversations that I'm really interested in, whether it's at the team level or at the organization level. How do we build a working system that delivers value?
Yep.
And so that's that's the sort of stuff that more IT specific, but that people absolutely see me posting about on LinkedIn. Is very much always kind of that mindset, and figuring out how to be more involved in those kind of conversations is kind of what I'm looking to do next.
Well, I think I can resonate with the keeping it simple. There's so much that feels complex, or we make it complex for whatever various reasons. So, as you're kind of thinking about your journey and where you want the next destination for your story to be, what is the ideal place? Because I mean, I think, like you said, you can apply it, and you can apply what you just said, and I think it's a great set of high level values, right? Keeping it simple and adding value. But what is the ideal destination for this next season for you? If you could paint the picture, set the scene, what kinds of things are happening for you? Because it's easy to just kind of say those things, but um, in order to like move forward, we need to have some sort of place we're headed to, right? Like to start moving forward towards that. So, what would you say that place is for you?
Yeah, and so that's certainly one of the challenges right now. It looks like there probably two different paths within IT. One of them would be to find something within a consultant pathway, and that's where we do get into potentially lean coaching, and that's really where I think my passion comes out the most, and where I get to use some of my best skills there. And honestly, it really isn't even industry specific. Of course, having that experience
Yep.
around a specific set of tools or practices or whatever it is incredibly valuable as well. But at the end of the day, it really is just working with people to adopt a problem solving culture. We don't necessarily need to have all the answers. We don't. And maybe this ties back to what you just said in a way. We don't need to have all the answers. We don't necessarily need to know how to do this. But if we know where we want to get to, then it's just about taking a problem solving approach to figure out, how can we do that? And if we surround ourselves with subject matter experts, there's usually a few good ideas in the room, I find, once we start asking those questions. So the consultant pathway, truly in any industry, there's so many concepts. One of the other things that I've really loved about lean is truly how transferable a lot of the concepts that we have just translate over to other industries. One of the biggest things when we talk about software development is, releasing in small batches of high quality. That's like just an absolute tenet of how to manage for flow in any environment. So there's a ton of lean knowledge behind this stuff, and how we can translate that into different industries. So that's kind of one of the things that I've loved about what I got to do in my last role. Is it was a lot of, here's the value, here's how we think that helps us deliver more value. And what does that look like for you, though? What does that look like for your team and your environment? Because working with all sorts of different teams that do lots of different things. So certainly the consultant pathway is something I'm really interested in. If there's anybody watching this that's interested in having those kind of conversations about the work they do, I'd say send me a message, and let's just see if there's something to chat about there. But the other side within IT, and one of the challenges as well is certainly I'm in Vancouver, Canada here, and it is a little bit of a smaller market here, about 1 million people. But yeah, so apart from the consulting path, the other one is one of the interesting shifts we're starting to see in IT is organizations becoming more product led, which doesn't mean that engineering and our business agility practices aren't a huge piece of that. But what's so exciting about that for me is you're starting to see some organizations organizing around value. So by being product led, it's really starting with that product taxonomy, understanding who are the people we're creating value for, and then using that product function to align the knowledge worker, the people solving the problems, with where value actually lives. So that product management function is largely within kind of a lot of my best skills as well. So whether that's starting off as a business analyst, a product owner, what have you, just having that problem solving skill set, working with customers to really understand where value lives, kind of taps into the sales background as well, which is super interesting. At the end of the day, it's a negotiation in a way when you're working on the product function that it's a negotiation, because there's always the difference between what we want and the reality of our budget and what's actually accomplishable. So being able to work with customers to really understand their vision and to work with them to make sure that they're getting the best possible outcome and the most value delivered. So those are the kind of the two pathways. But right now we're a couple weeks into now looking for a new role, and not necessarily looking to rush anything, but looking for something that's a good fit, because having that opportunity to be part of a problem solving culture where it really is just about, how do we deliver value, no sacred cows. I was kind of laughing when you said that I don't pull any punches, but ultimately for me, there's no sacred cows. Let's just figure out what it is that we can do to deliver value, and let's pivot and do some more of that tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that is having no sacred cows. I think that's should be the mantra of just about every lean person. I mean, we're here to help people make life better for them, and if we have to give up something that we hold dear, then we need to be willing to do that. And I think it's interesting, Ruth, and I appreciate Ruth. And if you're not already connected to Ruth, you should, Doug and others as well. But she asked, what about taking leap of faith? What do you need to move forward? And I think this is something that is in my head as well. Is like, as you're thinking about, and I'm all for having different paths, or like having different options and things you're heading for. And also I'm wondering, what of those, as you're thinking about kind of the two paths that you've outlined, which one of those resonates most deeply for you in terms of passion and drive and alignment with purpose and those kind of things, if you're thinking about those two paths you shared?
Yeah, and I mean, I think the challenge right now, and I've gotten asked a lot the question that you asked me here today, which is, what do you want to do in a roundabout way or another? And it's a question that I'm getting a little bit better at answering, but not a lot better at answering. And that is one of the challenges. My last role was a mix of I led change management activities across about 15 different teams. I did onboarding and training and that kind of work to make sure that everybody was brought up with our processes. Did a lot of process design work, working with our teams to figure out how we could bring visibility to work in progress, how we could build all that into the tool. So all of that is a lot of fun, but that's not a job. There isn't an answer it is kind of a lean coach in a way. My title in that role was operations lead. So there's a bunch of little different things that I love doing. But honestly, even going back to my crane operator days, for me, the most fun part of that job was the first 15 minutes when you'd show up on site with the truck. You'd meet with the customer and you had to go figure out, how are we going to execute the work for the day? What are the problems that we know about that we need to overcome to be able to do that? So generally speaking, I'm pretty happy as long as there's collaborative people to work with and interesting problems to solve. And so a lot of it is just finding an environment where I have the opportunity to be part of those conversations. So the other challenge right now, people may or may not be familiar, but tech has pulled back in a huge way over the last year. I've friends with 15, 20 years experience who said they couldn't step out into the, onto the sidewalk without being offered a job going back a couple of years ago, whereas now it's tough for them to even find a place to get an interview. So that's just a reality of the market. Tech goes through those swings as well. So not something that's too surprising, but just an additional challenge right now. So the product side is potentially interesting. It's probably the easiest pathway to something that is a real job that I could go, I want a business analyst job, and that's something I can search for on LinkedIn and yeah, say it like that's the job. But it really is that what I'm most passionate about, and why the whole kind of lean coaching thing is so appealing to me, is I really am interested in how do we build process at scale? How do we like as soon as I love when I realized the place that I was working was around 150 people. And it was like, around 100 people, I think, is probably where communications started getting hard. The number called the Dunbar number, which actually limits 150 people as the number of stable social relationships in a workplace you can have. And by that, they mean I know who this person is and what they do. And so that was kind of an interesting realization for me of, we're around 150 people, and you can see where it starts to come unglued. So that's the thing I'm probably most passionate about, is how do we maintain alignment? How do we maintain communication? How do we maintain visibility to work in progress? Because that is a huge part of working in an iterative way is being able to have that transparency to what you're working on. So that's the stuff that I'm like so passionate about. But yeah, my last role literally was a title that was kind of just made up for me. It's not a role that exists in those companies. So,
well, what are you, as you're kind of in this journey right now, you're looking for your next opportunity, whatever it is, what are you, we talk about as lean people, the way we bring value is by talking to the people that we're looking to support, our customers, however you want to put it. And we ask them, okay, what's the pain in your ass right now? So what's that for you right now that you're just struggling to either figure out or break through? What's the pain point that's just driving you crazy right now on this journey?
Yeah, and so I think my biggest pain point is very much self-inflicted. So I wouldn't go as far as to say it's driving me crazy, but of course I grew up in the Greater Toronto area. Now I live out on the West Coast as about 8 or 9 years ago. So living in a place that I didn't grow up, I'm working in an industry that I don't have a network, because it's not like I came through university in my 20s and I've been doing this over the last 15 years. So that's something I've been making an intentional effort towards. I've been grateful for LinkedIn, that's a place that, you can post and share ideas and actually build your professional network through there. So that's something I've been doing very intentionally. I did something last week that I'm going to take a ton of credit for, because it's so funny. You got a big you got a department of 500 people, and we want to figure out how to solve all the problems. For me, not stressful. Love it. Let's talk about it. Let's find a way to go through it. There was an in-person mixer for product people in Vancouver that was largely showing up and walking up to 2 or 3 people already having a conversation and just interjecting yourself and going, "Hi, I'm Doug." That for me is actually mildly terrifying.
Yep.
So that was an interesting experience I haven't had before. But yeah, for me, I'm looking for that next layer in the onion of people who do have those kinds of problems, to have these conversations. Like I said, honestly, if anybody watches this and they're thinking, I have a couple things to chat about. Let's see if there's a conversation there. For me, it's a ton of fun just to get to engage in that kind of problem solving and to get from wherever it is that we are to figure out a plan for how we're going to get to where we need to be. So just continuing to build that network, grow that network, getting to chat with people like yourself is hugely helpful. So right now I'm a little bit in the void. It's a liminal space between roles, partly being in a new career where I think I've just taken the belief that, if I keep putting myself out there, the things that I'm talking about are important from a value creation standpoint.
Right.
That if we keep putting these things out there, that good things will happen. So not without a lot of effort, but I don't. That is probably the biggest challenge. Is I don't really have a strategy for how to approach this. This is all new for me. So it's, do I take another training certification? Is that actually going to help me, or is it just going to sit at the bottom of my resume and nobody's ever going to look at it? I have a few of those already as well. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
Well, I think a lot of folks can relate to that, and Ruth is just sharing about a product management group on LinkedIn to recommend to join. So something for you to take a look at there for sure. But I think a lot of folks can relate to this idea of not having a plan. Right? They have the passion. They had clearly you are not lacking in that. You love this topic. You love meeting people and having conversations about this because it's very interesting to you, and I can tell it engages your mind and your whole being. And also, that is great. And also, is that going to help you get to where you need to get to? Right? We need to have some sort of process or way of operating, or steps or experiments or things we're trying to help us move forward to get there, right? Because things, jobs don't typically just fall into your lap. Clients don't typically just fall in, at random. You have intention and steps and things you're doing to do that. So what do you think is preventing you from putting some sort of strategy or plan or something together that can help you get there? Why haven't you been able to put something together? Because you're not a dummy, right? These things, you use these things in helping people. So why haven't you been able to grab onto something to help you move forward?
I wouldn't be totally willing to rule out that I'm not a dummy as it relates to certain things.
Okay.
That's and it is kind of funny. I'll even say that one of the things I've noticed about myself, I do incredibly well of problem solving in an unbounded context. Bounded context, not my skill set. So when it's like solving puzzles is an example, things like that. So there's certain things that I definitely have a talent around. But yeah, coming up with a strategy for this it's such an interesting experience. So again, as well, not coming from the corporate world, having never done this before, I really don't have a strategy, and that's kind of one of the challenging things. Absolutely, I'm spending some time now on a technical certification, or at least technical from as a non-technical person can get. So taking positive steps in that direction and just continuing to build out my skill set are certainly a part of it. Building that network is part of it, but just blindly applying for jobs and taking the wait and see approach is something that, given the way the market is right now, at least could potentially drag out for a long time. So I think that is a big part of it, is for me just trying to expand my network, to find other people that are interested in having these kinds of conversations. For myself, I think one of the challenging things is lean, and ultimately it's not about trying to do lean, it's about leveraging the concepts from lean to deliver value, but it is a culture shift, and finding organizations who live those values, who are willing to take a problem solving approach that cascades all the way down right to the bottom of the execution level, and engage in that way. Those organizations are rare. That's certainly been one of the challenges. I know a lot of people work at organizations where things don't make sense. The answer to why do we do this isn't something that they'd be able to answer. And when I talk to other consultants, it's I hear it's a lot of the same at most places they go to. And ultimately, if we want to be better, faster, more cost effective, it is about taking that kind of systems thinking view. So a big thing for me, and again, maybe I am a little bit of a dummy around this, and that doesn't hurt my feelings at all. I think the way that I look at it is, I know that there are probably VPs, directors, people in those roles looking for that mid-level lean manager. And so that's the problem I'm really trying to solve for right now. Is I know there are people trying to build that culture around supporting the people doing the work. That's one of my favorite things about lean, is it really is, honestly, it's a simple shift in perspective. Obviously, there's lots of important things we can learn from lean, but it's a simple shift in perspective towards, it's the people doing the work who are creating the actual value. And it takes a perspective then that management's role in that is to help the people doing the work just be more productive, have higher quality. And so anybody looking to build that kind of a culture, I'm that kind of person that they're desperately looking for. How do we find that kind of mid-level lean manager? So for me, a lot of it is about, again, just trying to put myself out there. There is someone looking for that skill set. How do I find them? That's kind of my next challenge.
Yeah. So what, like, as we're kind of wrapping things up here, want to make sure you take something away that you can go try today to help you move forward even a little bit. So what would you say based on what you shared here, and thinking about this idea of not having a strategy or a plan or something and kind of waiting for things to kind of come your way? What's something you can do today that can help you be able to resolve that in some small way? Not like obviously overall, but just what can you do today to help you with that? What's a small thing you could do?
Yeah, so honestly, a lot of the networking stuff has been great. I met a couple of great people last week as well in the Product BC meetup. Ruth, I appreciate you mentioning that there's an association in Ottawa as well. I actually just missed the product camp in BC that Product BC runs, but I should probably be signing up to a few of these organizations in Ontario as well, which again, Sam, you'd think that's something that I would figure out, but that's been one of my struggles on this journey of, all right, I can just like click there and get some more information and more exposure. So that's actually something that helps as well. I should be looking for some associations specifically back in Ontario, just because of the population and the amount of work going on there. So that's probably something that, in addition to the networking stuff that I'm already doing, I am investing a ton of time over the next month in a Amazon Web Services certification as a solutions architect, which is a terrifying word for a non-technical person. I'm actually a little bit terrified that I might have to stop referring to myself as a non-technical person by the time I complete it. So that's the sort of kind of more tactical, hands-on, might directly apply to a specific role. But yeah, absolutely. A lot of it's just networking. It's trying to find those people out there who are going, I'm really looking for somebody who can make things simple, make things easy, and get work done. And so just continuing to put myself out there, having these kind of conversations, which I totally appreciate. And we'll see where the world takes us. If we're in the same spot in 3 months from now, I'll be a little bit starting to get a little bit concerned. But as long as we're moving forward, then life is good.
Well, it's great to have you here today. What was the most valuable part of this conversation for you, Doug?
Yeah, honestly, what I'm kind of trying to do impossible things. So a lot of this conversation just doesn't that I'm trying to have with the universe right now doesn't totally make sense. So it's always great to be able to get a little bit of feedback. I appreciate Ruth's comments as well. And yeah, just getting to talk through some of these things and hopefully help this conversation kind of help some other people as well, or maybe on a similar journey of as lean coaches, and at least knowing they're not alone. We're kind of working together to find those people where we can create value in that way.
Well, that's it, right? We're not alone. We all have challenges, like what you shared today. I think there's a lot of folks who on the lean journey could say, we think, we go out, we facilitate these kind of conversations, we add value, we talk strategy, we get next steps and processes. But then when it's hard to kind of raise our hand and go, actually, I don't have all my shit figured out when it comes to this stuff. And I think it's great. It helps normalize that idea of we don't have it all figured out. And also we're on the journey. We're going to try something. And so it's really cool that you're going to go do that. You're going to go you're putting yourself out there in these networking things. You're going to go sign up for these groups and looking to have more conversations with folks. I think that's what we do. We set the example. We put ourselves out there. So for those of you that aren't already, as Doug has said multiple times here, please reach out to him. As you'll see, you'll have a fantastic, fun conversation to get you both thinking about things. And we'll be back again on Thursday. I'm going to try an experiment. Speaking of which, I've been doing Thursdays at the same time and just having conversation on these videos. But I want to bring you all into the conversation. And so we're going to do, for the next month, I'm going to do LinkedIn audios so that you can all participate. So we'll have a conversation on Thursday about something that you might be interested in, Doug. We're talking about, when we're going in front of clients, interviews, thinking we have to have all of the answers and all the information as lean practitioners. So how do we navigate that idea of I've got to have all these certifications and these things? And, what's the way that we can show up that in a meaningful way? When we're kind of in that space. So I want to invite you all to come onto that, and you'll be able to come up in the LinkedIn audio room and share your thoughts and perspectives on that as well. So please do come in and join us on Thursday. And again, big thanks to Doug. And of course, if I can be of support in y'all's journey, you know where to find me. Let's have a conversation as well. So thanks again, Doug, for being here. Thank you all, Ruth, Chasen, and everyone else who came in today and added into the conversation. Certainly appreciate. And Outback as well. Thank you for jumping into the conversation as well. So have a great day, everybody. We will look forward to seeing you talking to you on Thursday. Take good care.
Thanks, Sam.